Are there advantages to aging? Yes, I am Debbi-Jo Horton, and welcome to Advantages to Aging. Join my guests and I as we discuss aging and what makes for a healthy lifestyle, which results in a quality life. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Advantages to Aging. This is your host, DJ Horton. Again, we have Diane Gilman, the Jean Queen, with us. If you haven't listened to our first episode, you got to go listen to it. She is absolutely amazing. She shared with us a lot of great ideas about your third act. The topic today is being an entrepreneurial woman. Welcome, Diane.
Hi, DJ. How are you?
I am doing great. So, Diane, I know you're in your third act and you've had quite the remarkable career in television and in fashion. So, would you share with our listeners whether or not sexist remarks and people have really colored your career?
I'll tell you how I think it colored my career. I think two things were always concerning to me: sexism and ageism. Sexism first. I seemed to always be searching for the perfect male partner who was going to recognize my talent, fund me in my business, and appreciate my method, almost like method acting, but method designing to get there. And so it was me. I realized in the end, it wasn't these guys, but the scenario was like a broken record. I didn't have a lot of funds or a family behind me to fund myself in business. So I was always looking for money. Interestingly enough, I never looked towards powerful females, of which there really were none for a big part of my career in my youth. I always looked for men in power with money. Oh, please, you might as well set yourself up as a bowling pin with a giant bowling ball coming down the alley. And so I really and truly, I did almost reverse sexism. I saw men as the leaders, and somehow they were going to shelter me and really nurture my talent. And it never happened until I finally, at about 50 years old, gave up that fantasy and just with almost really no money, limited capital, started my own business and took it to $100 million at retail. So I'll bet you a lot of women out there in our age bracket have seen that kind of reverse sexism where they're always looking to the man to be the leader, the soothsayer, the guy in authority and control, and then regretting it afterwards.
You're right. I think so many times we waste so much of our time in that, looking for that in that role, instead of just saying, why not me?
Yeah.
Why not me?
And I think that I was just brought up that way, and that was the mold I came out of. And it took me 5 decades to break it. And the minute I broke that mold and just said, you know what? I'd rather deal with trying to start a business with $100,000 than $10 million and do it myself. The minute I did that, the road was clear to success. I could make my own designs. I could make my own decisions. I could be honest because I had no one else's toes to step on. And so that's very interesting.
Debbi-Jo with Niora. You know what our brand partners love the most about their Niora business? They can do it from anywhere. Think about it. Haven't you always wanted to have your own schedule, be your own boss, maybe even have a global business and be able to run it from your favorite coffee shop or lounging by the pool or seaside, not having to go into the office? We make sure that all of our brand partners have all of the tools they need to run their business while fitting it into their busy lives. So if that's something that you've been curious about, what it might be like for you to be able to do life on your own terms, then I think we need to chat.
And then ageism. That is just a fascinating topic because, as I say in my book, Too Young to Be Old, nobody, no, no one outlasted me. I mean, it's unbelievable. I never, my greatest success, my light bulb moment in my industry came at 60 years old when my body was middle-aged, out of shape, overweight, and I couldn't find a jean that fit me. And I said, I'll just make my own jean for me. And then I thought, wait a minute, you can't be the only one battling a middle-aged body. Wouldn't millions of women love it? And the answer was yes. But at 57 years old, when I first had that idea, and it took about a year and a half to get it developed and then time to get it on air on HSN, I went to so many people in the industry and they all said, you're out of your mind. Oh, one of them said, old fat chicks don't want to wear jeans. They shouldn't wear jeans. They shouldn't be allowed to wear jeans. So
these old fat chicks are the ones with the money.
Also the ones that need a special jeans. So I saw ageism from 2 points of view. First of all, I outlived everybody else in my industry. And all the people I started with, nobody was left designing at the age of 60. I did it because, number one, I loved my craft so much. It was like necessary for me to be designing every day. And also because I hadn't made enough money where I felt like I was one of those baby boomers, whereas you really think you can retire on this? No. And there I was in an industry where the customer was older, tele-retailing, and actually that industry rewarded me for being older. So if I was going to say to anybody who maybe has had a corporate job or worked within a big corporation for a lot of their lives, and now they'd like to step out and do something, pick something you really love, that really makes your heart sing, and that you just treasure doing it every day, even if you only do it for a couple of hours a day. And I think under those circumstances, you cannot help but achieve some level of success. But yeah, I've battled ageism and sexism my entire career.
Well, and I sometimes wonder, because, at the age that we are, you grew up in your early years being told that, well, good girls find a husband and get married and raise a family.
That's all you did.
They don't start a career.
Yep.
And I'm like, why can't you have everything? Like,
well,
you can do all of that.
There wasn't even a phrase like career girl or career woman.
They called you something much worse. We won't repeat that on air.
Or you were a secretary. Like my parents were willing to send me to secretarial typing school so I could learn to be a secretary. Or if you were very lucky and you were very pretty, you could be a stewardess. But in both cases, you were serving men. And you were in a subservient role to men. And even when I went into the design industry in the early mid 70s, just look to Paris, Yves Saint Laurent, Givenchy, Balmain, Balenciaga, they were all men. There were no female designers. There was only one. And fascinatingly enough, Chanel, who had success in her younger years and then was banished from France and came back in the 50s after the war was over. she did not design the Chanel suit until she was 72 years old. And that was her biggest success.
Yeah. So
So,
many times we either allow society to put those limits on us, or we put the limits on ourselves because of our mindset. So what makes you think that you can be a success in society? You had mentioned before that you want to really delve into social media and be an influencer. So what do you think about being successful in that when society doesn't have any template to follow?
oh, that's fine with me that they don't have a template. I'll create the
You
template.
build it. You go, girl.
We never had a baby boomer gene, and everybody told me it would not be a success. Everyone told me I was insane, that it was the stupidest idea on earth, that older women didn't want to wear jeans, when in fact it wasn't that they didn't want to wear them. They didn't have one to wear, and I gave it
That
to
were
them. And my
comfortable.
company, which was funded with nothing, it was so teeny. My company went to $100 million at retail on one good idea. So
Yes.
I figure, I hope, the communicator, I'm very passionate about growing old happily, productively, satisfyingly, successfully. And I want to bring other women into that frame of mind. And I think when you've got the kind of passion I have for getting a really positive message out there, you've got a good chance of succeeding.
Absolutely. You definitely have a very positive outlook, and we will make sure that all of her social media connections are listed in the show notes, because I definitely
Thank
want to
you.
be following you to help you
Thank
become
you.
that iconic influencer in our age bracket. And I'm going to say that with the anywhere from 30 to 130. That's
Yeah.
the age
And
bracket.
you know why? Because DJ, you need to start young.
Yes.
I came from a particular kind of household. I was born in 1945 to my mother, who was almost 45. That was unheard of in that time. But at that time, she had to get a full hysterectomy right after the delivery. And I saw the really harsh side of going through that process that brings us from our youth as a female to the rest of our life as a female. And I thought to myself, this is not good. I don't want to be this, and I don't want to go through this, and I want to be something much happier and healthier and better. So I started thinking about this whole process that I'm going to now try and make the crux, use the bulk of my energy for the rest of my life on, of aging differently.
I love that. It's, people talk about aging gracefully, and they put a negative spin on that. I love aging productively.
Oh, yeah.
And it definitely makes a difference on your mindset. It definitely will go into other parts of your life and those people that are surrounded by you.
And people, when you've got a purpose, and I don't care whether your purpose is making little bouquets to bring to a cancer ward in a children's hospital, or it's trying to get a message out there like I am, that hell no, I'm not going silently. I'm going to go out with a big bang, and I'm going to do something really good for my baby boomer sisterhood. If I had to say what my legacy was going to be, it would be having women believing in a positive message about aging. But we have absolutely no idols, no guidelines, no structure to follow. So it's up to people like you and I, DJ, and other women who are like-minded, to start to put that together and make it what it really needs to be, which is an everyday reality.
Absolutely. Well, listeners, on that note, I'm going to leave you with this. Think about what you would do if you knew you couldn't fail and it didn't matter how old you were, what would you try? Now, go try it.
Yep.
Make sure that you are hitting subscribe and follow along in the private Facebook group Advantages to Aging. Until next time, this is your host, DJ Horton. Have a great one.
Do you think one of the biggest advantages to aging is all the knowledge we gain along the way? Me too. What did you learn today? Share with me in my Facebook group with the same name as this podcast, Advantages to Aging. Now hit subscribe so you don't miss all the tips to come in future episodes.